Every woman has that one man she can't erase. Not the richest, not the most handsome, but the one who made her feel something real. That's the man she remembers forever. Let's get straight. Women forgive, they move on, they even act like they forgot. But deep down, female psychology keeps a ledger, not of gifts, but of moments that bent her. Moments that changed how she saw herself or how she saw men. The man she never forgets isn't always the smoothest or the richest. He's the one who left an impression on her emotions, small or big, a mark that just won't fade. I'll walk you through 10 things men do that women never forget. These aren't tricks. They're behaviors that show backbone, truth, and self-respect. Do them correctly and you become unforgettable. Do them wrong and you're just another faded name. 1. The man who says no without fear. Most men grow up believing that the fastest way to a woman's heart is by agreeing to everything she wants. Yes, I'll come over. Yes, I'll skip my plans. Yes, I'll change my priorities. They think this is love. This is devotion. This is what makes him stand out. But the harsh truth, women don't remember. Yes, men, they forget them as quickly as the next one comes along. The unforgettable man, the one who lingers in her memory long after, is the man who knows how to say no, and not just say it but mean it, because a no shows boundaries. It tells her, I'm not here to please you at the cost of myself. Here's the psychology. When a man says no, he risks upsetting her. But that's what makes it powerful. Women may get annoyed, even angry in the moment, but deep inside they respect it. They admire it because it's rare. A man who can say no is a man who cannot be controlled. And women remember that. Picture this. She asks you to skip a work meeting you fought weeks to schedule just so you can take her out. The yes man drops everything. She smiles now, but deep down she knows he betrayed himself. That betrayal makes him forgettable. But the man who says calmly, no, I've got something important today. We'll go another time. That man earns her lasting respect. She might roll her eyes now, but that memory, that boundary, will stick with her long after. Here's the part most men ignore. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself not to get walked over. Women test men, and if you fail every test by always giving in, you become replaceable. But a firm no makes your yes carry more weight. When you do say yes, she knows you mean it. The unforgettable man isn't the one who bends every time. He's the one who stands tall, says no without fear, and refuses to betray himself for approval. That's what makes him impossible to erase. 2. The man who walks away. Nothing shakes a woman's psychology more than a man who knows how and when to walk away. Most men cling. They hold on even when she's disrespectful, even when she ignores them, even when they're treated as an afterthought. They stay because they're scared. Scared of losing her, scared of being alone, scared they won't find someone else. But that fear is exactly what makes them forgettable. The unforgettable man. He's the one who can walk away quietly and with dignity when the line is crossed. No begging, no drama, no explanation, just a clean, calm exit. That move doesn't just surprise her, it rattles her entire frame of reality, because women are used to men fighting, chasing, pleading. When a man doesn't, when he chooses himself, instead her mind can't let it go. Walking away isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. It says, I refuse to stay where I'm not valued. And here's the twist. The man who walks away often ends up chased, because when you stop clinging, she starts wondering why you didn't need her validation. That cue, question burns. And the longer it burns, the more unforgettable you become. Imagine she ignores your calls for days, playing games. Most men text again and again asking what's wrong. The unforgettable man simply stops. He disappears, focusing on his life. She might act cold, but deep inside she'll never forget the man who walked away instead of begging. Years later, she may forget all the men who stayed too long, but she'll always remember the one who walked away when he should, because he showed her something most men never do: the courage to put dignity above desire. 3. The man who doesn't compete for her attention. Here's the brutal truth. When you compete for a woman's attention, you already lost value. You've admitted she's above you, that her time is more valuable than yours, and that in her psychology makes you blend into the blur of men she can control. But the man who doesn't compete, he's the one who stays in her head. He's not ignoring her. He's just too busy living his own life to chase like everyone else. That's what makes him stand out. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the men women obsess over are never the ones blowing up their phone? They're the men who text when they want, who invite her into their world instead of fighting for a place in hers. They're not cold, they're just focused. And that quiet confidence flips her brain upside down. Why isn't he trying harder? Why doesn't he chase like the others? That mystery becomes a memory. Attention is a currency. The more freely you give it, the less it's worth. The unforgettable man treats his attention like gold. He doesn't fight for her spotlight. He shines in his own and lets her step into it. That's what makes her curious. And curiosity is the glue that keeps you stuck in her thoughts. Years later, she won't remember the men who competed. They'll all blur into one, but she will remember the one who made her compete for his, for the man who exposes her flaws calmly. Most men think keeping quiet about her flaws makes them good guys. They let disrespect slide. They let bad behavior go unchecked. But that silence doesn't make you noble. It makes you weak, and weakness never lasts in memory. The unforgettable man is the one who calls her out when she's wrong without anger or drama. He doesn't shout, he doesn't belittle, he simply tells her the truth. And women, whether they admit it or not, respect that because deep down they know it's rare. Its female psychology is wired to test men. She'll push, poke, misbehave just to see if you'll stand your ground. The man who stays quiet fails every test. The man who calmly says, "That wasn't okay, and here's why," passes, not because he's perfect, but because he showed courage. Imagine she snaps at you in public trying to embarrass you. Most men would laugh it off nervously, afraid of conflict. The unforgettable man looks her in the eye later and says, "That wasn't respectful, don't do that again." Simple, calm, firm. That's the moment she remembers because you didn't let her cross the line and you didn't lose your cool doing it. The truth is this: women forget men who bend, but they remember men who set boundaries, especially when it forced them to reflect. The man who can check her without fear, without drama, becomes unforgettable because he proved he wasn't scared of losing her, only of losing himself. 5. The man who controls his desire. Desire is powerful, and most men are slaves to it. They see a beautiful woman and suddenly all discipline vanishes. They chase, they beg, they fold. And when a woman sees that, she loses respect instantly. Why? Because if you can't control your desire, you can't control yourself. And if you can't control yourself, she'll never see you as a man she can trust. The unforgettable man is the one who feels desire but doesn't collapse under it. He stays composed. He doesn't melt at the first sign of attention. He doesn't rush. He doesn't beg. That restraint, that self-control is what makes him rare. Female psychology links self-discipline with strength. If you can hold back when every other man would, give in, you send a message louder than words. I own myself. That kind of power sticks in her head long after. Picture this. She's teasing you, trying to pull you in with charm or looks. Most men jump instantly, desperate to please. The unforgettable man holds steady. He smiles, maybe even walks away. That restraint burns into her memory. It forces her to ask, why didn't he fold like everyone else? That question alone keeps you alive in her thoughts. Here's the reality. Most men are too easy, too available, too desperate, and desperation is forgettable. But the man who controls his desire, he's unforgettable because he shows mastery over himself. And that's the kind of strength women never forget. 6. The man who makes her earn his respect. Here's where most men get it wrong. They give their respect away like candy. A woman shows up, looks attractive, smiles a little, and suddenly she's treated like a queen, no effort required. And men think that's what makes them chivalrous or admirable. But here's the truth. Respect handed out too easily loses its value. It's like giving someone a medal for just showing up. Women never forget the man who made them earn his respect. The man who didn't fold just because she was pretty. The man who watched her actions, her consistency, her loyalty before treating her with full honor. That's the man who sticks in her mind. Why? Because he was rare. Because he challenged her to rise up. Think about it. When you respect every woman the same way, you're not noble, you're just easy. And easy men get forgotten. But when a woman realizes your respect is selective, that she has to prove herself to you, it forces her to play differently. She knows she can't just coast on beauty. She has to bring more. Her character, her values, her treatment of you. That challenge burns in her mind. Imagine meeting a woman who expects you to bow at her feet just because she looks good. The average Anne will shower her with compliments, gifts, and effort. But the unforgettable man, he treats her kindly, yes, but he doesn't give away his respect until she shows him something deeper. When she finally earns it, that respect feels priceless. She remembers him because he forced her to work for what every other man gave her for free. Respect is like currency. The more scarce it is, the more valuable it becomes. A man who makes her earn it becomes unforgettable because he taught her something that not every man will worship her without reason. And that lesson, whether she admits it or not, is one she won't ever forget. 7. The man who withholds easy validation. Let's be honest, women get flooded with validation daily. Compliments, likes, fire emojis, heart eyes. It's endless. Every man thinks telling her she's beautiful 100 times will set him apart. But it doesn't. It blends him into the crowd. The unforgettable man is different. He doesn't hand out validation like it costs nothing. He gives it sparingly when it's truly earned. And because it's rare, it hits harder. When he finally says, "You did really well," or "You look incredible tonight," it sinks deep. She remembers it because it wasn't cheap. Psychologically, validation only has power when it's scarce. If she hears it constantly, it fades into background noise. But if one man holds back, measures his words, and only praises her when it matters, it makes her crave his approval. That craving makes him unforgettable. Here's an example. Picture her posting a selfie online. Dozens of men rush to comment, "Gorgeous queen, angel." She reads them, maybe smiles, but forgets them instantly. Then there's the one man who doesn't comment at all, or maybe just says something subtle like, "You look happy there." Suddenly she's thinking about him, not the others. His silence, his restraint, becomes louder than their noise. The man who withholds easy validation isn't cold or cruel. He's just smart. He understands that when praise is rare, it's powerful, and that power makes him unforgettable. 8. The man who breaks her routine. Here's the secret most men overlook. Women get bored faster than they admit. Routine feels safe, but it kills excitement. And most men become routine themselves. Predictable texts, predictable dates, predictable conversations. Safe, yes. Memorable, no. The unforgettable man is the one who breaks her routine. He doesn't act like every other guy she's ever dealt with. He disrupts her patterns just enough to make her feel something new. That disruption sticks in her memory. It doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean being reckless. It means bringing surprise, spontaneity, or depth into her life. If every guy texts good morning at 9 a.m., he doesn't. If every date is dinner and a movie, he takes her for a late night drive with music playing. Small disruptions, big impact. Think about it. The brain remembers emotional peaks, not flat lines. If you fit neatly into her schedule, she won't think twice about you. But if you break her rhythm, challenge her expectations, make her laugh when she didn't plan to, or give her a night she didn't see coming, you burn into her memory. She will forget the predictable ones, but she'll always remember the man who made her pause, who made her feel, who interrupted her routine in a way she secretly craved. 9. The man who challenges her illusion of control. This one is uncomfortable but true. Many women act like they want control over the pace of the relationship, over the decisions, over how things flow. And too many men hand them that control without question. They think it's love, but it's weakness. And weakness never stays in memory. The man women never forget is the one who challenges that illusion of control. He doesn't let himself get manipulated by moods, tests, or threats. He leads calmly. He doesn't fight, doesn't shout. He just holds his ground. That strength shakes her. Here's why. Women don't truly respect men he can fully control. They might enjoy it in the moment, but deep down they lose attraction. What they crave is a man who stands firm, who won't trade his values for approval. When she pushes and he says, "No, that's not how we're doing this," it frustrates her, but later she remembers because he showed leadership. Too many men confuse being agreeable with being valuable. They think saying yes all the time equals love. It doesn't. It equals weakness, and weak men vanish from memory. The unforgettable man challenges her not out of ego, but out of strength. He reminds her that leadership is earned, not handed over. That reminder carves him into her memory forever. 10. The man who leaves a scar, not just a memory. Here's the deepest truth. Every woman has memories of men, good, bad, forgettable, but only a few left scars. And scars, they don't fade. Now, don't get it twisted. A scar isn't abuse or cruelty. It's impact. It's being so real, so unshakable, so firm in who you are that she can never erase you, even if she wants to. Most men settle for being nice, safe, pleasant, but pleasant gets forgotten. The man who leaves a scar is the one who challenges her, who makes her reflect, who forces her to see herself differently. Maybe he walked away when she thought he never would. Maybe he held her accountable when no one else did. Maybe he showed her a standard of discipline and strength she'd never seen before. That's the scar. Psychologically, women replay the men who changed them, not the ones who gave them everything easily. That's why so many women think about the guy who broke their heart more than the one who worshipped them. Not because pain is better, but because pain and growth carve deeper marks than comfort. The unforgettable man isn't the one who gave her endless yeses and cheap affection. He's the one who made her feel something profound, something lasting. That's the man whose name echoes in her quiet moments long after life moved on. Women don't fall in love with safe men. They don't remember the ones who bent, begged, or blended in. They remember the ones who stood firm, who drew lines, who respected themselves first. If you want to be unforgettable, stop trying to be liked. Start living with strength, truth, and boundaries. Approval fades. Respect lasts. And respect is what makes you live in her mind rent-free forever. And here's the truth. Men, women never forget the man who dared to stand firm. The man who respected himself enough to say no, who walked away when he had to, who made her earn what every other man gave away for free. That's the man who lives in her head long after the moment has passed. So don't aim to be liked, aim to be remembered. Because memories fade, but the scar of impact that lasts forever. If this video hit you, drop a comment below. Tell me, were you the unforgettable man or the one who got erased? I want to hear your stories. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because on this channel, we don't sugarcoat the truth. We face it head